Hey, welcome to the Irish NFL show. My name is Michael. Haven't slept in I don't know, 27, 29 hours. I don't even know anymore. Brian, Colin, Mark, boys, before I even say hello to you, hello to everybody watching. Presented by Pundit Arena, but more importantly, have a look at this last night. Right, Colin, well done. Well done, Colin. Even Jeff Reinbold and Tom Brady got it wrong at the side there. Mark, just starting off for yourself, man. Like, obviously, we'll just put you full screen here because everyone's watching. You went against Tom Brady, even though you're a big Brady fan. For the first time ever, Mark's going to start the show off. Mark, what's the thoughts on that?
Well, Michael, I said it on the show on when did we record it? Even this is the problem with sleep deprivation. Sunday morning, I said the line from The Princess Bride. There are classic blunders, one of which is never bet against death with a Sicilian. The other is never bet against Tom Brady in a championship game. And then, like an idiot, like last week, I said I'm going heart over head, Brady over Breeze. This week, I went head over heart. I actually thought, instead of just believing in Tom, and of course, it wasn't Tom. It was all the Bucks. It was, and we'll get to it, obviously some questionable decisions by the pack. But yeah, Brady, 10 Super Bowls, double Elway, double any other quarterback that's ever been in place. Love him or hate him, as many people do. You can't deny what he's done.
Let's just look at the scores first, and then we'll talk about Mr. I go to the Super Bowl 10 times Brady. But yeah, like 31-26 to the Bucks. Huge win, obviously. Always a big win in Lambeau. But to beat that Packers team after the last few weeks, after Aaron Rodgers, what a win. What a win. And then the Buffalo Bills, 38.
You wish.
Wow.
You wish it was 38.
Wow. Wow. I am going to go back to bed in a second. Colin, let's start off with that first game, which was in Green Bay, which I will swiftly, while you're talking, edit that out and put it back in. But yeah, what a win for the Bucks last night. Brady righting the wrongs of many a year. Rodgers won Super Bowl to his name. Doesn't seem happy. There's so much to take out of that game, isn't there, last night?
Yeah, really interesting game. Probably ended up being the more interesting of the two, really. Look, unsurprisingly, weather wasn't a factor. Don't know why that was a talking point during the week. It was ridiculous. Professional athletes, unless it is ice bowl conditions, and it wasn't, but it was a lot colder than Tampa, but it didn't impact on them. Brady, I suppose the good and the bad, in terms of incredible leader. First guy who's going to a Super Bowl in 3 different decades. First man to lead his team to Super Bowl in their home stadium. You can go on and go on and go on. Obviously, look, the 3 picks off of the downfield shots. He was taking downfield shots all night. I think 9 attempts at passes over 20 yards. Obviously, the big one is the one just before halftime. And again, proving that you have to go for it when you are in the playoffs. Playing conservative just doesn't work. But the Bucks were just brilliant. I felt Fournette was fantastic. He was a real threat all evening. And what was it? Did anyone see the next gen stats that popped up at one point? Something ridiculous. Like was it
0.4%?
Yeah, around whether he'd get the touchdown or not. And where to begin with their defense. Like Todd Bowles, take a bow, because talk about people around the league who talk about bend not break. 2 goal-to-goal situations against Aaron Rodgers, and you hold him. He throws 6 incompletions. They were brilliant. Shaq Barrett and JPP coming at Rodgers from all angles. Sacks change games. I keep saying it. I hear about edge rushers and sacks aren't everything. Sacks change games. The Bills will talk about that later on as well. But look, sacks make a huge difference. You get into a quarterback's knock them off their rhythm, get into their mind a little bit. Shaq Barrett deserves to get paid, and he will get paid this off season, I hope. But they also finished without their 2 starting safeties. Remember that. So they showed up. I mean, yes, the Packers were missing people, but so too were the Bucs. Devin White is phenomenal, and I am really looking forward to seeing, I suppose, that matchup, to see how the Chiefs offense fares up against them. But really impressive. They went on the road. In order to get to the Super Bowl in their home stadium, they had to win 3 road games. They did win 3 road games, and I thought they were very, very impressive in the victory last night.
Brian, the 5th seed goes to the Super Bowl in a year where the Packers look so good. The Saints as well, albeit with Drew Brees, played very well. But the 5th seed goes to the Super Bowl on the NFC side.
They're the first team to go to the Super Bowl who haven't won their division since 2010. We're going back 11 years, so it's quite a feat. Whilst the Bucs are getting all the praise this morning, I think the Packers and some dubious play calling with their head coach and some really strong parts of their game all season were left to be desired yesterday in terms of the offensive line, for example. Look, we touched on the fact that David Bakhtiari got a season-ending injury only a few weeks ago. And up to that point, they'd only given up 1 sack per game for 11 games. And, they didn't seem to get too trouble last week against the Rams, but I think more so because the fact that the Rams defense last week wasn't good. Donald was injured. But yesterday, the loss of their main player and their left tackle was clearly evident. As you touched on there, Shaq Barrett, 2 sacks. JPP, who in playoffs over the years, particularly for the Giants, he turns up when it comes to playoff time. He had 2 sacks. White had 2 forced fumbles. But the whole momentum of the game, coming towards the end of the half, Packers got the ball just under 2 minutes to go, and people were saying, okay, this is an opportunity for the Packers to drive down and potentially get a score for halftime, and getting the ball at the start of the second half. Double whammy. But they didn't. They went very conservative. And in the end, it was the Bucs who obviously pulled out that play, which we've been down this road before. They played a divisional game in Lambeau where the Giants did the same thing, and it completely changed the game. And then the start of the second half, again, very conservative play calling and forced fumble. Great field position for the Bucs, and they go in with a touchdown. But having rallied and got back into the game, I still don't understand why they went for the 2 points so early. There was plenty of time to go. They weren't chasing the game to a certain extent. Should have taken the point. And then that particular drive, which has been the conversation for majority of the American media today, was the one at the end. And again, I know Colin has touched on the fact that they got into the red zone and they didn't score. But that one at the end, and there's one particular play which everyone's discussing today, and that's the Rodgers play. And people are saying, geez, Rodgers could have ran that in for a touchdown. Certainly could have went on and got to the 1 yard line at least, and gave themselves a very favourable 4th down opportunity. And in the press conference, Rodgers said, when they asked why he didn't run, he said, I was under the assumption I was getting all 4 plays. So he was quite surprised that they decided to elect and take the 3 points, take the field goal, and have an expectation that the defense was going to stop Tom Brady. And at that stage of the game, Brady did not have to be throwing the ball. He literally had to just use the run game effectively to kill the clock. And after the game, LaFleur said, look, we had the 2-minute warning, 3 timeouts. We felt our defense was strong enough to stop them. But the reality is, you're taking the game out of your hands. They really should have went for that 4th down, because even if they did get the ball back, they still have to go down and score a touchdown and win the game, which was at that stage was with very little time on the clock would have been a hard piece to get.
Oh, I think we'll come back to that 3rd and 4th down plays in due course. But a few things to get out on this. The hold, right? The hold that was called, the pass interference play that was called on the Bucs drive then after they gave the ball back to Brady. There's a lot being said about how can you call that after very much letting them play. It was real playoff football. It was like, let them play, let them get on with it. I will say just this. One is, it was the most obvious pass interference play of all time. Let's be clear about this. When you've got someone by their t-shirt, dragging out of it, and then take the time to switch hands and grab him with the other hand, just in case the back judge didn't see it, you should get called. At the same time, do I understand the degree of the frustration of Packers fans? And they say, well, you haven't called that all game, so why call it now with 2 minutes to go? And honestly, if I'm a Bucs fan, my response to that is, well, we lost out more from holding calls because JPP and Shaq Barrett got held on just about every single second half play because the O-line couldn't deal with them. So, guys, I get it. I get the frustration, but that hold did not change the game fundamentally. Because frankly, what it came down to again, and Packers fans, you're not going to like to hear this, is when it mattered big, Aaron Rodgers came up small. We said it on Sunday. He does not come back in playoffs. He doesn't have a history of doing that. He's a fantastic quarterback. He's my MVP this year. Matt LaFleur was my coach of the year this year. Definitely, they deserved it based on the regular season play. But when it matters in championship games, he has not performed. We broke it down the first half of the San Francisco game last year, and this game was the opportunity for him to change that legacy. He's down 18 points. He's down 28-10. Change your stars. He leads 2 touchdown drives. But when he has the ball and the opportunity to take the lead, they went 3 and out, and next drive he gets it with the opportunity to take the lead. After 3 interceptions his defense got for him, he went 3 and out again. That is not championship play. That is not sufficient. He was 2 of 10 in goal to go, with the most efficient red zone offense ever seen since we were tracking these stats, with the most efficient team during the entire season. Called it out, 35 TDs, only 23 incompletions. And when it matters most, you throw 8 incompletions in the game. It's just not good enough. And let's be honest about all of this. He also then came out with a few comments after the game, which quite frankly, if you care about leadership, if you care about being a leader of your team, you don't go and come out with stuff like this.
And here's something we prepared earlier.
Aaron, did you agree with the decision to kick it there on 4th down?
Well, I didn't have a decision on that one. Yeah, that wasn't my decision, but I understand the thinking above 2 minutes with all of our timeouts, but yeah, that wasn't my decision.
Guys, nobody gets worse than that, because he then goes and tries to throw his coach under the bus to say, oh yeah, he called in a 3rd down play. I changed the play, which I'm entitled to do. And LaFleur said, yeah, he's the entitlement to do that. And then he said, but I only changed it to that play because I thought I'd have 4 downs. So he's using it to excuse his activities on 3rd down again. He's a very intelligent man. And that press conference and giving that response is all designed to put the blame on LaFleur. It's never Aaron Rodgers' fault. It's Brandon Bostic's fault. It's the defense's fault. It's the O-line's fault. How, as a quarterback, can you expect to gain the trust of your receivers, your running backs, your offensive line, and have them follow you next season when they know no matter what, it's never going to be his fault. He's never going to take responsibility. Favre wouldn't do it. Marino wouldn't do it. Manning wouldn't do it. Brady wouldn't do it. You can name any of the greats. Elway wouldn't do it. It's all about Rodgers, and it's not good enough.
But I just say in his defense, it is very difficult when you've lost 4 championship games in a row. Albeit some of them are years back and he's probably got over them. You have to then go, I know he's not in front of the media directly, it's all video conferencing. These guys are on these calls within half an hour, 35 minutes of the game ending. These guys, not just talking about Rodgers, just talking in general, they need a little bit of time to decompress after the game, whether they've won or lost, and have time to actually figure out what they're going to say properly. I wouldn't say he was throwing him on the bus. I think he looked like a guy who recognises that he's getting to a stage in his career where he mightn't get back to this game again, and he's realised that is a big missed opportunity for the team, in my opinion.
But Brian, that's the thing though. He doesn't say team in that. It wasn't my call. It wasn't my call. It's all about me. It's all about that someone else. Pulls for dramatic effect in the middle. He gets hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of press training for all of this stuff. They know how to manage it. They know how to deal with it, right? But he doesn't say team decision. We lost. We didn't just lose on that play. We've all heard the obvious lines. that quarterbacks come out with or coaches come out with in that scenario. It would have been the easiest thing in the world to just stick to the script, but he has to make it clear it's not me. Blame LaFleur.
I only have 3 things to say about this game. The first one, as a Broncos fan, is that Tom Brady shut me up last night. Fair play. The second thing is that Aaron Rodgers should be looking at the AFC and thinking, maybe I could take the Chiefs on because there's not much else there at the minute. Bar Buffalo, of course, but we'll come back to that. And then finally, my friend's a bit annoyed about the whole Brady thing. I don't blame him, to be honest.
Whoever suggested to Coach Belichick to me might want to challenge that. Got an earful.
Ha ha ha.
Or as one former player said today, when you're ever asked to go to the Patriots during free agency, they ask you, do you want to go and play for Belichick, or is it because you want to go play for Brady? It's because you want to go play with Brady.
I think this is like, right, hold on. Before we talk about the Chiefs game and before we bring any more in, we have got a 3-hour pregame on the 7th of February. That's right, a 3-hour pregame. We got content all week. We got a breakfast show on the Saturday and Sunday. If you're going to be mad and wake up at 9 a.m. on Super Bowl Sunday. Sorry, we didn't say Super Bowl because that's for legal reasons. Super Sunday. No Super Bowl talk. No blinded by the lights by the weekend. We can't talk about that, but there's a big game on that day, and we'll talk about that big game without referencing the big game's name. Looking forward to that. What were we talking about? Because I had a really important point.
Sorry, Colin. Michael, can I make one more quick point?
Yeah.
One thing Aaron Rodgers cannot affect is his defense. And Kevin King yesterday had an absolute stinker. He was at fault for 2 touchdowns, arguably. He's letting players run beyond them. Like Scotty Miller, yeah, he's fast, and he's brought him in the game specifically for that play at the end. But come on, you got to go with him. And then Mark's alluded to the pass interference. Yeah, it's a pass interference, and of course it's him who does it because he couldn't manage them. Every time they came near them, he was being exposed. And Alexander, who's been very good this season, also had an off day. So there was a lot of players on the Packers defense, in particular the secondary, that just didn't do their jobs yesterday. And Aaron Rodgers can't do anything about that.
Do your job, eh? I have 2 quick points to make, boys. The first one is this. I firmly believe that Tom Brady is destined to win the Super Bowl. I really do. And I think he sold his soul 40-odd years ago. Colin, this is my second point. Colin, as the fan of a team in the AFC that obviously has hated Brady for years, and their biggest rival is the Chiefs, how are you feeling today? Because I can't give my opinion as a host of this show. What's your thoughts today? Obviously, it's like whenever it was like Liverpool or Man City for the league, and you're a United fan.
I made peace with Brady, especially this season. New state, new city, new team, same result. You'd have, and one thing I want to say though, as well, is an awful lot of people writing Belichick off. Do not write Bill Belichick off, same way you shouldn't write Tom Brady off. I think that Brady has. People got fed up of the Patriots and the success and the Patriots all the time, and it was, I suppose, there were plenty of narratives out there. But he came to Tampa, and you can't say obviously anymore that he's the system QB, so that changes. That makes it more interesting. I also think there's probably he seems like yesterday when he went up to ask, like, can I talk to my kid, there was no demand. The guy's just going to his 10th Super Bowl, but there was no demand. He asked the security guard. It seems to me that the move has worked, I think, for everyone. Well, certainly for Brady and Bruce Arians, not so much. But I think it was done in Foxborough anyway. I think the fact that he has a head coach who is very different in the media, and I have all the respect in the world for Bill Belichick, but the media presence of those 2 coaches could not be more different, and that probably helps as well. And the fact that the Bucs have been so bad for so long. There was a piece that I read that came out last season about like the Bucks' decade of decay, and so when you see a team kind of come back from that and really put the pieces in, and again, what I think is interesting, I suppose, is the fact that it's his first season there, and look at what they've done, and the fact that every time he has been questioned, he's found a way to answer those questions. You can't not respect that.
Seeing a few comments there as well, and thanks to Claire for the comments about Brady Mahomes, the real matchup is Arians against Reed. Look, Claire, thanks for the retweet as well. We all appreciate it. Thank you very much. I agree with Colin. I'm not going to talk about this whole thing, but I have almost made my piece, even though half Colin at Broncos Twitter hasn't, but I have to at this point. Brian, have you one final point to make, or as I think one of you lads has one final point to make in this game before we move on, or what's the?
Brian, you go ahead.
No, actually, one thing about the Rodgers press conference we didn't actually refer to was him questioning who's going to be there next year and who's not, including himself. So, look, I think one of the biggest shocks if you were to see him being traded during the offseason and move on, and they moved on to Justin Love. But it was interesting to see that he's already going to question who's there and who's not.
Yeah, Michael, a couple of things. I mean, Rodgers questioning that. Bear in mind, Green Bay, I think, is about 25 million over the projected cap for next year at the moment. So there's a few things they've got to resolve on their team going forward.
Mark, just repeat that again, Mark.
I think Green Bay's over 25 million over the projected cap next year as well.
Okay.
But look, I don't know if that will come into play. But obviously, Rodgers again, like, I don't know what I'm doing. It
would be incredible if he wouldn't it?
They've done 30 the last 2 seasons. Too fair. What?
It would be incredible if he done what Brady done, but vice versa.
But the other way around, yeah,
because Brady's won as many NFC championships, Mark, as Aaron Rodgers has.
Well, I was gonna say Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, Rex Grossman, and Nick Foles, as well as Tom Brady, have all won the exact same amount of NFC championships. So, illustrious grouping there, to be honest. This Mr. Rodgers, actually, that comment's really good. We mentioned it on Sunday. Look at the young quarterbacks and arms. They're in the AFC. Actually, NFC seems like a safer home these days, and Green Bay does seem to have that division generally on ice. The last point I was just going to say, it's not just Broncos fans. Patriots fans are still trying to figure out how to deal with Brady now going to the Bucs and having this success. Because it is like your ex-wife in many ways. And there's this lingering love and affection for her. But, do you really want to see her with a hunkier, sexier, smarter, faster man? I mean, he even brought Gronk. He even brought the family dog over to Tampa Bay as well. That lovable little Labrador.
I would go as far, Mark, as saying Edelman will be there next year. I would.
I'm actually petrified that you're right on that, Michael. But Scotty Miller is a younger, quicker, faster version, so I don't think so, if I'm being honest. But I will end with one stat, and you can come out with all of them for Brady. He's won twice as many playoff games as any quarterback. He's won, now going to twice as many Super Bowls as anybody. He does actually comes up big in the big moments when they need to. When they need that play, he's the person you'll put your trust in. But playing away from home wasn't something he did very much of when he was in New England. And we alluded to it. I think it's the 85 Patriots, 2007 Giants, 2005 Steelers, and the 2010 Packers, incidentally, who won 3 games away from home to get to the Super Bowl. Brady is actually 7-0 away from home in the playoffs, as long as he's not either playing in Denver or against Peyton Manning.
Let's jump on this next game. Obviously, a reminder that we are killing ourselves on a daily basis for this broadcast Sunday week. Please tune in. It'll be better than the late toy show. All right, run our comment here. I agree, but Claire, I think Claire, half of New England will be in Tampa Bay anyway. Come next Sunday. I got the score right the second time, just in case anyone was wondering what was going on with that circle. The Bills, the Bills got beat by the Chiefs. Incredible for Mahomes' column to beat the MVP and Josh Allen in the AFC Championship game.
If only it was incredible. Mahomes is ridiculous, and the Chiefs are ridiculous, and you run out of superlatives about him and Andy Reid. He's thrown 17 touchdown passes in the postseason. He's 2 interceptions. Travis Kelce set a new record with 13 catches. Tyreek Hill had 170 something odd yards. They really could do what they wanted. It seemed like the Bills had been really good all season at preventing big explosive plays. And then last night, the Chiefs would kind of dink it under and then find a way to be explosive. In terms, what was interesting was obviously there was the muff punt early on. And what was said afterwards, maybe it's a little bit of history after the fact, but it was Honey Badger said that Mahomes deliberately sought out Hardman for the touchdown pass in order to get his confidence back up, and that's the kind of leader that he is. Now, if that is the case, that is just phenomenal. This is a guy, he's Brady setting all the records, and Mahomes is coming up behind, setting them at a younger age. So he was great, and their defense was. They shut Stephon Diggs down, particularly early on. I think he had 2 catches in the first half. So they took away the Bills' weapons, and I think the Bills were, was it 5 of 14 on third down, when when all season that had been one of their strong points, and being able to do that. So they took away what the Bills were particularly good at. It was a performance where they really stamped their authority. A little bit of silly stuff, obviously, towards the end. And they have lost Fisher, which is a huge loss for the Super Bowl. But it's set up to be an absolutely fantastic game in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I was very confident about the Chiefs. I read a couple of comments this morning, people saying there was a narrative that the Chiefs wouldn't be ready for this playoff game because they were winning games closely throughout the year. But Mark made a very good point yesterday that they're become a very dogged team when they need to be in terms of digging out these wins. And I touched on yesterday, and I've been saying it for weeks, that this Chiefs defense hasn't been getting the credit it deserves. Spags dialed up blitzes all night long. Josh Allen was sacked for negative yards of 15 to 20 yards at a time. He just didn't understand the fact to just get rid of the ball when it needs to be get rid of. And Mahomes, for a guy who's supposed to be playing with an injured toe, he said yesterday, you take a Patrick Mahomes with 70% fitness over most quarterbacks in this league. He just looked like he was in control for the whole game. And whilst they went down 9-0, and I think, Michael, a couple of weeks ago, you said it'd be interesting to see how the Chiefs react if they get themselves in a negative position. They were fine about it. They were calm. Never got. And again, a touchdown that potentially they gave away because of a muff punt. So you could argue that touchdown really doesn't, again, reflect the score in the end. But they were so much in control. Tyreek Hill had 176 yards in terms of catches and yards thereafter, and one particular great one of 78 yards. It just looked, of the 2 games, they looked the more impressive one, and was everybody's praising the Bucs today because of what a great win it was for them. I think they're up against it coming into this game in the Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs have a real chance.
There's a flea hour pre-game.
There's
a flea hour pre.
I'm just saying they have. It's going to be a very difficult game for them.
Brian's picks.
No,
hold on. Brian's picks. Hold on, boys. Let's have a look. To be fair now, look, sure, we'll say no hunt.
So, look, to the point, they were very impressive. For a team that were supposed to really give them their biggest test of the season, it never materialized. Josh Allen and the Bills looked to me like a team that was similar to the Chiefs 3 or 4 years ago. Just needed the next step to get towards the Super Bowl. They are going in the right direction, but they're still a good bit behind the Chiefs.
Yeah, Brian. That's I suppose your pick's going to be clear, but a few minutes into this game, muff punt, 9-zip, tables everywhere in Buffalo were starting to get scared, and on commentary, Tony Romo and Jim Nantz having a little bit of banter with each other, kind of said, "Yeah, but remember last year." The Chiefs were behind by double digits in every single playoff game and came back to win, including down by double digits in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. And you kind of go, yeah. And I think Claire just put up a comment as well. It's like, being down 9 points, you weren't fearful for the Chiefs. I was looking at it going, yeah, I'm not actually worried that they're going to lose this. End of the fourth quarter, they're down 9-0. By the end of the third quarter, 2 quarters of actual play, they're up 31-15. Like, that's how much they can turn it on. 31 points and effectively a half of football. We alluded to, I said on Sunday, speed kills. McCole Hardman, 50-yard end around. Tyreek Hill, that 71-yarder, where he just took an 8-yard slant and then looked like he was on Madden on 99 ranking, for example, on speed. That's what they can do. They just turn it on, and there was too many weapons. And in fairness, the Bills on offense, they didn't excite me the way they have so many times during the rest of the season. We said they've got a gap in their running game, and it played up. Spagnuolo played to, take away as much as he could from Josh Allen on the easy throws and take away his deep shots he knows he likes going for and make it difficult. It succeeded. When you get to the end of the third quarter and all Allen has led them to is actually 3 field goals, considering the touchdown was like from 3 yards out, it's been an effective defensive game plan, and that's not enough to live with the Kansas City Chiefs and the way they can play offense. Michael, you said at the start, it was a letdown almost in comparison to the NFC Championship game because there was that tension, there was that to and fro, there was that real storytelling. I mean, even at halftime, I just felt like it wasn't in doubt for the Chiefs. And third quarter, obviously, they put on some extra scores. They got a touchdown to start the fourth quarter. The handbags at the end, bit disappointing and frustrating. But you'll understand the anger on on the Bills side anyway. But it was efficient. And I'm not giving away my pick, but Brian is right. The Kansas City Chiefs are a seriously impressive unit, and they will give any team in the NFL a series going over. So by all means, they are, I would say, the presumptive favourites. They're certainly the favourites with the bookies. So
what surprised me was they're only favourites by 3 points in the bookies.
What surprises me are you two boys. I feel like Tom Brady could play with a sack of beanbags and still score about 30 or 40 points in the Super Bowl, boys. I think this, I will go as far as saying 3/4 of that Green Bay game last night was borderline classic stuff, like reeling in the years territory, right? Even just generally. I think the Super Bowl is going to be 10 out of 10. I really do. Forget about, this could be the last, I say this every year now, this could be the last time you see Brady. He'll be playing whenever I've got 4 kids in the Super Bowl. But I'm going to just jump on what Brian said. I genuinely, I'll be the first. I mean, geez, look at this yesterday. To this point, got Josh Allen written on my board. I genuinely thought that the Bills were going to go to the Super Bowl. We've had Jim Kelly on. It's been a great year. The Bills have played some great football. Brilliant to watch as well throughout the regular season. And even they actually surprised me a little bit when they were going up against the Ravens and the Colts as well, how good they were going forward. And the fact that he wasn't afraid to throw the ball, Josh Allen, so much. For a part of last night, it looks fantastic. And then it just went to crap altogether. But I would agree with what Brian said. They're on the right track. And ironically, in January 2019, this guy in the AFC Championship game threw the ball for 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, had a very good passer rating, and quite a similar passer rating to what Josh Allen had last night, albeit a few points less. If Josh Allen keeps getting better, boys, I think it's going to be Chiefs, Bills, and the AFC for a considerable amount of time going forward. And as a fan of a team in the AFC, it kills me to say it, but I don't think the Bills are that far off, boys. If they regroup, get back together again, they've got a solid core there. They have what it takes. But I think to say that the Chiefs are going into this game as heavy favorites would be I wouldn't say it. I think honestly, I think Brady will relish this, because the only, like, think about this. Who has everything to lose here going into this game?
Look,
Brady
there
doesn't.
will we as Michael, as you said, we have a 3-hour show. There will be plenty of
We
stories
do.
to talk about. There's plenty to cover in that. I think, yeah, kudos to the Bills on an outstanding season. Nobody, around the league, I think, expected them to get to the championship game. We all expected a jump, but they were really excellent. And Josh Allen is improving. What he needs to do now is, as Brian said, stop taking the silly sacks. 53 yards it cost them last night.
Yeah.
But look, he has improved every single year in the league. He's a guy who's clearly kind of got that type A personality, that he is going to go away in the offseason. He is going to do more homework, and I no doubt he'll come back. They look like also a franchise that put a lot of work into identifying what their needs are. So I think that the Bills will be back, but they ran up against a Chiefs side that are just fantastic, and I think have been almost underestimated in many ways this year. And I think it is going to be a really intriguing Super Bowl.
Yeah, Michael, I mean, go back to the start of the playoffs and you actually weigh up the various quarterbacks and who had the most to prove. Like, go back to Washington. Taylor Heinicke had to prove he actually existed and wasn't just a made-up person. Lamar Jackson had to prove he could win a playoff game, which he succeeded. Josh Allen, you can win in the playoffs and you can bring your team there. He's won 2 games. He, brought his team to the AFC Championship game. Aaron Rodgers, you have to prove that you can bring your team to another Super. Oh, yeah, maybe we'll skip that one. Tom Brady, that you can win without Bill Belichick. He's proved that. For the most part, people have stepped up, but one of the biggest leaps, fully agree, is Josh Allen this whole season. Called it on Sunday. Week 6 and 7, thought he was going back to the old Josh Allen. 2 losses in a row. It's all just been a mirage to begin with, but they've taken it to a new level, and the Bills are serious contenders for years to come. But it's a loaded AFC. Trevor Lawrence is coming to the Jags. It's going to be awesome, lads.
The London Jaguars.
Can I just make the point that yesterday morning when we were discussing the preview of the Bills at the Chiefs game, I said that Week 6 game, the Chiefs managed Josh Allen to 122 yards. The Chiefs have played the Bucs this season. Thanksgiving weekend, 27-24. If you look at that score and go, oh my God, that must have been a really close game. Genie Mac, the Bucs have a really opportunity to win this game. The reality is they were 7-0 down at the end of the first quarter. They were 27-10 down at the end of the third quarter. They got 2 very late touchdowns to make the score look very kind of close than the game actually was. So the Chiefs, know what's ahead of them, and I suppose the Bucs know what's ahead of them too. But in that particular game, Tyreek Hill had 2 touchdowns and 150 yards by the end of the first quarter. So look, it makes for a great Super Bowl.
It does indeed. Just before we go, gentlemen, we have a couple more things to talk about. Obviously, that time of the year when you had coaches leaving, quarterbacks agreeing to go somewhere else or agreeing to go away. Matthew Stafford is leaving Detroit. After a long tenure in Detroit, he is leaving Detroit, and I love that my editing skills can't make that a full screen. But sure luck, we'll say nothing. Colin, Matthew Stafford, where will he go and why?
Well, Peter King had a really interesting piece in his column this morning about where Stafford may go, and there are quite a few teams who could potentially take a chance on him. It depends, I suppose, what the Lions are going to want people to give up, and how much longer you think he has in the league. He certainly has taken plenty of punishment. The Lions haven't done a whole lot to really protect him over the years. the talk, or certainly there was talk at one point, which I think Mark nearly came through the screen earlier in the season, where the Patriots, there was supposed to be interest. This was ever before, he requested a trade. So is that something that might be looked at? They have to do something at QB, and they've got the salary cap situation in hand now, so they could potentially look at it. Washington, that's another who might, and obviously the Colts could be another team, because the Colts need to do something now. The talk is the Colts are happy to kind of go to the draft if necessary, and when you've got Frank Reich, you can understand why, because he just can work magic. The Broncos are another who may look at it. You can shake your head all you want. I'm not saying that I'd want him, but the Peter King was saying that he thinks that they'll likely pick up the phone. So it's in like this is a really interesting, obviously, off season, because you got the Watson stuff going on, and talk again yesterday. It doesn't matter who comes in at the Texans. Watson wants out. Stafford obviously deciding that he wants out, and you've got all the head coach changes as well. So at this point, I don't think there's a favorite for Stafford. Going by the fact that you shaking your head and Mark shaking his head, it seems like there, a lot of franchises, their fan bases don't seem to want Matt Stafford.
Two things on the Matt Stafford situation. One, whilst the deal may have been agreed internally between him, his agent, the general manager, to move him on, why the Lions have seen the need in the middle of January, when the season's still on, to declare it publicly is a mystery to me, because the bargaining power is literally swayed over to the team that are trying to get him. It just makes no sense to me. The team who I actually think will go for him and make a strong push, and this might shock you, is the Saints. I think the offense in which they play suits Stafford. He's still got a deep ball. That's what's been lacking for the Saints for quite a large part of the season. Peyton wants to play an aggressive offense. We've seen with the Lions over the past few years, whoever the head coach has been, that's a style that Stafford wants. We've seen in games where they've been down by a touchdown with a minute to go, and he's managed to get them down the field. So he's the type of quarterback that would suit what the Saints want to do. And I don't think it's against the realms possibility that he'll end up with the Saints. And I do think he's actually a lot better than some of you guys here are giving him credit for.
Brian, you think he might go to the Saints? Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm just talking so I can get these memes up. Honestly, I think that would be stunning if he went to the Saints.
Well, I think the Saints are in a situation there where they actually could get him. Will you go away with the Rodgers?
What? Somebody has made that. He came out last night, and we just played the video where he came out last night and basically said, hold on. Cast your mind back to April last year. What did the Packers do in the first round of the playoffs? Or the first round of the playoffs? What did the Packers do in the first round of the draft?
They traded up to get you Jordan Love, actually.
They did indeed. And do you think Rodgers loved that, Brian?
Well, upon reflection, he's probably looking at the game last night saying, if we had to use that first round pick on a good cornerback or a good safety, that could have helped us in the
I thought you were going to say I thought you were going to say if only you brought him in.
If there's a miracle and Rodgers does get moved, he's getting moved to the AFC, because 9 times out of 10, a player, and he saw it with Brady, he went to the NFC, they'll get you out of conference. Never mind getting you out of division, you're going out of conference. So Rodgers to the Colts.
You're saying the Colts, but I think Brian's reading my mind, because actually I see a connection there potentially at the Saints as well. The Saints are picking low in the first round. The Lions are saying they want a first round pick for this, for Stafford in relation to it. He's only 33, and his most successful season was with Jim Bob Cooter as offensive coordinator. And you look at stylistically what Peyton has in place. there are a lot of similarities and there are a lot of actually parallels in between that. Peyton is a quarterback whisperer, but he's had Drew Brees. So how much of that is Brees and how much of that is Peyton? Isn't that a better conversation than Belichick and Brady? Brees or Peyton? Who was more responsible for the offensive success? Come on. Look, it's amazing. We were talking about Watson a couple of times because, hey, how often is it that a quarterback in their prime is available like this? Stafford's a little bit beyond his prime. He's not as young as Watson, but he is a very serviceable quarterback. The reason I was shaking my head so vociferously at the Patriots is I don't think he suits the offensive style of play, the Belichick and McDaniels call. And secondly, Michael, and you put it up with the two things you put on screen, he has never led a team actually to a victory in the playoffs. He has never beaten a team away from home that's over 500 at all. And frankly, I want another winner for the Patriots, to be honest with you. I want to draft someone like Mac Jones. I want to reboot it, and I want to hopefully.
Patriots' time is done, Mark. You've had your 20 years. You've had your 20 years. I think you can wait at least 15.
Another one was for getting into speculation mode. Free agency would be great when we get together come March. But Jimmy G back to the Patriots and Stafford to the 49ers. I wouldn't dismiss that as a potential move on both sides.
That
Mark's a bit more receptive to that one as well. He is, so.
I just don't see of all the teams, of all 32 teams, the team in the most cap hell is the Saints. They have to figure out what they are going to do because it is a nightmare for them. They are way over where they likely need to be because we don't even know exactly what the figure for next season is going to be. And the talk is that it will potentially be lower in around the 175. If it had been what was projected initially, the 195, the Saints would still be way over it. So any cut to that is a disaster for them. I just can't see how they would make that work. I mean, I think you're going to have that's what makes this offseason so interesting. I think you'll have plenty of vultures circling circling the Saints, looking to see what they can pick off because they're going to have to make some serious cuts there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
Our general manager, Colin Cronin, has to go and ruin it first.
Seeing Claire there with the comments, typically greedy pass-ons. If you don't follow Claire on Twitter, you should follow her because she does giveaways. I think every week. You should probably check out Claire's account and our account this weekend. Might be a giveaway. I think I've gave that away. But, have we any final points to make before I go to sleep, boys? I am just. Any final points?
Just this, Michael. We said it before the championship games. We had two great championship games, and yes, the first one was a barnstormer, and the second one, the Bills weren't really as in it as you would have liked, but the Chiefs pulled out some amazing football, and it was great to see. I mean, just even the Hardman and the Hill plays in themselves were fantastic. And my God, do we have a great Super Bowl ahead? Passing of the torch, young versus old, some dubious characters, Antonio Brown, Tyreek Hill. Some solid characters, Mike Evans, Travis Kelce, etc. Storylines to beat the band. Two amazing teams. Can't wait. 2 weeks is going to fly by.
But the biggest news, boys, there's no Pro Bowl this weekend. We're done. There's no Pro Bowl. Hallelujah.
I don't think anybody will miss that. One of what's not going to, the fact that Brady and Mahomes are going to get all the attention. These defenses are serious, and you've got some guys who play angry, as Jeff Reinbold said, on both of these defenses. So we'll have lots to discuss. The fact is that the Bucs have a serious pass rush, and that is something that it will make it interesting.
There's one person who's even happier today than the Chiefs and the Bucs fans, and that's Roger Goodell, because he got a lot of stick. Free agency drafts, will the season go ahead? Games been played on different days. He's now looking at this going, what a story, what a fairy tale. Bucks in their own stadium. Mahomes is back. Storyline of Brady against Mahomes and all the other components that come with all that. Yeah, he's going to be one happy pamper.
He is indeed, and obviously Tampa Bay going to the Super Bowl in their home state, the first team to do so. Goodell, as I said earlier on, must be laughing in a good way. One less team traveling, ding, 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 ding in the current situation. Fair play to him, and home advantage. Kansas City aren't flying out until the day before, but sure, we'll talk about that on our 3-hour event, our 3-hour pre-game show. Yeah, 3 hours long. We have got shows from this Sunday all the way to Super Bowl Sunday. We're live every night. We're not live, well, maybe live but pre-recorded, but live 9 o'clock every night until Super Sunday for copyright reasons. 2 breakfast shows, Saturday 9 a.m., Sunday 9 a.m. It's going to be funny seeing all these boys first thing in the morning. But until then, we'll be back on Thursday with the show, and then it all starts Super Sunday week. Well, we haven't really thought of a name for the week yet, but it all starts next Sunday at 9 p.m. with a special guest. Boys, thanks for your time. Have a good night, and yeah, see you later.
Get some sleep.
Have a good one, boys. See you later.
Whoever suggested to Coach Belichick to meet